and I'm going to postulate this question to you, dear viewer / listener. Why? Hello again, nerds. Thank you for joining me for another Nerd News episode. This is the place to get your pop culture nerd news, wherever you may or may not be consuming this episode. You can always check out youtube.com/generallynerdy if you're on any of the other syndicated platforms, and you'll catch the whole episode, or the whole conversation anyway. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about a new Netflix series, another new Netflix series where they're trying to capitalize on nostalgia. We're also talking about rumors dealing with the X-Files, and we're shooting down some rumors dealing with Doctor Who. Before we get into those news pieces, though, we do have a little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way. So anyone who's been watching recent episodes will know that we've kind of thrown a whole lot at this front end in order to do fan shout-outs and new followers and comments, responses, and so on and so forth. And that section has kind of ballooned up into being its own thing. So now it's getting its own video. So if you are looking for your shout out, then you can follow on any of the social medias. They will be posted. The individual social medias will be posted as shorts on whatever platforms allow such things, and then the entire shout-out section will exist on the Nerd News Clips channel. You can go see your shout-out there, and also the viewer comment responses and all of that stuff. So that is our housekeeping out of the way. Let's jump into news like we should. So, starting things off, our first section, as always, is the music section. In the music section, we do have an update on the Dream Widow situation, Dave Grohl's now side project, kind of, that may or may not also include other members of the Foo Fighters. The record that they're putting out now has a release date. It is now March 26th, so next week? Wow. Yeah, we are set to get that full thrash metal album from Dave Grohl and company, very likely with like guest spots and things, though I think it's just going to be the Foo Fighters if you are to believe some of the reports. So all of that being said, March 26th, they're moving right along. Next up, we're talking about tours. Our one and only piece of tour news is huge. Rob Zombie and Mudvayne are going out on tour together, and in support of this crazy combination, we have Static X and Powerman 5000 opening the show. It is starting July 20th in St. Louis, Missouri. It runs all the way through August 21st in Woodlands, Texas. You can follow the link down in the description if you want to get tickets. If they were coming to my neck of the woods, I would already have tickets. They kind of are. They're going to be a state over, and I do have connections to people in that state, so maybe I will end up going. I'm not going to put money on that, though. But it is pretty freaking huge. Mudvayne actually going on tour with this whole reunion status that they got is pretty epic. That being said, that's what we have for tours, so let's move into news. We have one piece for news as well, and that is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Red Hot Chili Peppers are getting their own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That star is going to be just across the street, I believe is what they said, to Amoeba Music down in LA, which is a landmark in and of itself. So you've got the Walk of Fame landmark as well as Amoeba Music. Perfect spot for where the Chili Peppers star should be. March 31st is when the ceremony is going to be, where they get to put their hands in the cement and so on and so forth. So there's probably going to be YouTube videos dealing with this, and or we're going to be seeing it on some media, TV, music TV, if that's still a thing somewhere. But yeah, that is what we have for the bulk of the music section. And then we have a last minute addition to the music section for this episode, and that is that Les Claypool and the band Primus are going to be releasing new music. It is going to be a new EP, so extended play. It's going to be a full album, and part of that full album is going to be a 13-minute epic. That actually was the genesis of the album. Les Claypool said it was going to be a standalone release, but then you can't just release one song, now can you? Paraphrasing Les there, but yeah, super exciting. I don't have a release date for it yet because literally just got it in the middle of filming, so we will be keeping tabs on this and we will talk about it again next week probably, when a little bit more information has found its way to my magical little fingertips. But again, last minute breaking news, and now, yeah, we're gonna go back to the music section. So let's do music section suggestions. I'm trying to keep these streamlined as well. So, music suggestions for this episode, we have Mudvayne's LD50. This is the introduction of Mudvayne to the rest of the world, and this is probably the best example for why they are so greatly revered even today, even after having been, 12 or more years without putting out any new music or even doing any live shows. This album is the prime example of why the metal community loves them so much. This is easily a modern classic. I don't even know if you could even call it modern as much anymore, but very much a classic and very, very awesome. So go check out LD50 from Mudvayne. Now we're going to talk about gaming and tech. In gaming and tech, we have one follow-up, Overwatch 2. We have a PvP beta test that is going live April 26th. If you are a Steam player, if you play on your PC and you wish to take part in this beta test for Overwatch 2, then you can do so by following the link down in the description. It is exclusively to PC players, so if you are a console Overwatch player, then I'm sorry, but you cannot participate, and I would totally if I could as well, but that's not a thing. So the other follow-up we have right now is Multiverses is doing a series of live beta tests as well. I had the opportunity to join on that one, but work schedules were not allowing such things, so I will try and find some B-roll because it sounds like things are rolling pretty well with this game. But that is what we have for our gaming and tech follow-up section. Now let's get into trailers. We do have one new trailer for a new game. This is the game announcement for Disney's Mirrorverse. This is going to be a portable game, a mobile game, I guess is more appropriate. Launches on June 23rd. It looks pretty interesting. Now, something that we talk about fairly regularly here on the channel is that, you know, alternate versions are always fun to deal with, and alternate versions of pretty much any character, let alone characters as beloved as the Disney characters. And in this trailer, if you follow the link and watch the trailer, in this trailer we only see Belle and Sully from Monsters Inc., but it sounds like we're going to get a whole cast of Disney characters in this Mirrorverse. It looks pretty interesting. Doesn't look like super deep gameplay, but on a mobile game, those kinds of games are few and far between. So it has me pretty excited. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments, and we're going to move right along. We have some new games to talk about. A new game announcement, very specifically. The Witcher is getting another game in the franchise. The announcement goes on to say not only is CD Projekt Red working on a brand new Witcher installment, but they're changing in-game engines. They're going from their home-built Red engine, and they're buying into the hype of the Unreal Engine 5. So look for a lot of ray tracing, and I believe this is going to be a next-gen console exclusive. So us Xbox One players and PS4 players are going to have to upgrade if you want to play the next Witcher franchise, though they are just now starting this game, so very likely we won't be seeing it for another 3 to 5 years unless they want to pull another Cyberpunk 2077, in which case we'll see it in 2 years and won't be able to play it for another 3 to 5 years. Our next piece of news is kind of technically the announcement of a launch of a new game-ish. It's a new port of a game, and it's an unofficial port, so if you're watching this, definitely go check it out as soon as possible if you are inclined to do so, because it is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time has a full and proper PC port. Now, what is the difference between porting versus emulating? Well, an emulator just gives you the exact same experience that you had in the original game. A port, potentially, I don't think they added any new content, but at the very least, a port is updating assets. Everything's going to look better, is going to be in a higher resolution, and actually this port, I do know, has widescreen capabilities. So the Ocarina of Time emulators do not support widescreen because the Ocarina was in 4:3 ratio, so all of the emulators, at least as far as I know, have 4:3 ratio as well. So if you are looking to update your Ocarina of Time experience, then you can do that over on GitHub. You have to follow the link in the description. You also have to have an emulator for Ocarina of Time already, because this is just going to take the assets in that emulator and update them from there. So you must have your very own legal copy of Ocarina of Time on your computer, and then this port is going to update that for you. Again, link down in the description, go over to GitHub, look it up. Either way, play the game. And then that brings us to our suggestions for gaming and tech, and we're going with, and you probably already guessed it, the Ocarina of Time. Be it this new port or the OG Nintendo 64 or anything in between, this game definitely deserves a little bit more time this week. Go check it out. If you have not played this, this is one of the few instances of RPG gaming done right in my eyes, because I am not a big RPG gamer. I appreciate the RPG elements and everything else, but Ocarina of Time is one of the few games that universally is loved for being one of the best RPGs ever. Not just on the Nintendo 64, but ever. So go check it out. That is our suggestions here on Gaming and Tech this week. Comic books and books got a little bit bigger this morning. As I was re-upping my research game, we ran into something that's kind of awesome. So we're going to lead off with this. We do not have any follow-ups. We do not have any trailers for comic books and books, but we do have a piece of book news, not just comic books this week, but books as well. Goosebumps is launching another Slappy-centric book. So the series from when I was a kid, I believe that's when it started, was back in the 80s, is still alive and is still kicking, and has definitely, there's been a few hundred books released since I last read a Goosebumps book, but Slappy was always a favorite of mine and is a fan favorite across the board, it would seem. This time, though, Slappy is not going to be the antagonist of this story. He is going to be kind of the protagonist from the sounds of things. R.L. Stine is saying that it is going to be a little bit of a flip around, or a turning on its head of the traditional Slappy story. Slappy, for those that don't know, is the name of the dummy that you think of whenever you think of Goosebumps. First thing that you think of when you think of Goosebumps is probably the gooey logo that they came out with forever ago, that back in the day was very textured on my books. I still have a whole box full of these books. But then the second thing you think of, the first character you probably think of, is Slappy the dummy. Ventriloquist dummy that is really kind of creepy, especially when you are 9. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a different story from R.L. Stine, in that it's not going to have Slappy as the villain, but Slappy as the victim. It sounds like. So yeah, sounds like a whole lot of fun. That's what we've got on that. So we're going to move right along to our one comic book announcement. We have a new series being announced, and this is Poison Ivy from DC. She is getting her very own series. It is going to start on June 7th. The writer is going to be Willow Wilson, who we know from Miss Marvel and Vixen. Also, the artist on here is going to be Marcio Takara. Yeah, I think I said that right. Marcio has done Captain Marvel and Detective Comics in the past. Poison Ivy, this is going to be... it's definitely going to be leaning into this new agenda-driven narrative for comic books, but I think it's kind of time that Poison Ivy gets a decent book. G. Willow Wilson is not a horrible author, so maybe she can prove me wrong and show me that she is a good author for this series. But again, June 7th is when the first book comes out, and it is going to be a monthly book, I believe, going for 6 issues. And now, let's get into suggestions for comic books and books. This suggestion is, go back and I'm going to do the obvious, go back and read some Goosebumps, but yeah, that's not the actual suggestion. It's just a lot of fun to go, and they're only like 130 pages, so you can breeze through them in an afternoon. But the actual suggestion for this episode is Deadpool, specifically issues 16 through 18 from a few years ago. This is reaching back a little ways. This is the story arc where Deadpool was trying to join the X-Men, and this is classic. This is not Scott Kelly Deadpool, sadly. That is some of my favorite Deadpool, but this is still classic Deadpool, and honestly, a very good example for why he has the following he has. These 3 issues are very much worth a reread. If you have not read them, then read them for the first time, because this is prime Deadpool, if you will. So yeah, Deadpool issues 16, 17, and 18, back from, I believe, 2002-ish. And that is what we have for suggestions in comic books and books. I am going to briefly interrupt this episode, nerds, and remind you that there is a live stream every Friday, except unfortunately, this Friday is not going to happen. So join us next week, Friday, 7:30 roughly, for a live episode of the Nerd News Headlines. You can join me roughly every Friday when the day job schedule does not get in the way. And we talk about the news, and then we play some video games, and you can join the conversation very directly, or you can go check out the merch over on generallynerdy.net. You can support the channel there. There's a Patreon, there's all kinds of stuff, so go check it all out. But the best way and the most fun way is going to be to join the live stream Friday nights, again at 7:30. This coming Friday, the 25th, though, there will not be a stream. Friday night, 7:30 roughly, Mountain Standard Time. You can join the live conversation, contribute to the news. Also, while you're here right now, don't forget to hit the like button and you know, let the algorithm, whatever algorithm you're currently viewing me through, know that you like what's going on, and we will get back to the episode now. TV streaming section is going to be a quickie, so let's get it done so we can bust our way to those rumors, because we've got some crazy going on in the rumors. Anyway, so first and foremost, we have an update on the Wednesday series on Netflix. This is not the series in which I was teasing at the beginning, but there is a casting announcement. Christina Ricci has officially joined the cast, though not in the titular role like a lot of fans wanted. She is going to be playing an undisclosed role, so they're keeping this one very close to the chest from the sounds of things. No leaks, no even hints of a rumor, as far as I could tell, who Christina Ricci was going to be playing, though she is going to be billed as a guest star, so it's going to be a recurring role in the series. Next piece of follow-up news is actually kind of a correction at the same time, because in the previous episode we talked about the Winchesters series that's coming to the CW. I mistakenly said that the original actors who played young Mary and John Winchester are going to be returning to this series, and that was false. That was an assumption. That was, honestly, I wasn't even the originator of the assumption. I was just going off of assumptions of other people who may or may not be slightly more well-informed than I, or closer to the project, I guess is probably more appropriate. But we do have the official casting announcement for both John and Mary Winchester. So Drake Roger and Meg Donnelly are going to be playing John and Mary, respectively. It is not going to be Matt Cohen and Amy Gumenick, again, as was originally anticipated, which I don't know. I don't know those two actors well enough. I felt like Cohen and Gumenick did a good job originally, but I mean, nobody's ever going to beat Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I am brain farting the lady who played the older version of Mary Winchester, and I apologize. Please, somebody correct me in the comments. But yeah, that is our follow-ups and corrections for TV streaming. We do have one trailer to go check out, and this is the new Netflix series that I was was hinting at in the intro for this episode. This is going to be called Tekken Bloodlines. This, I believe we talked about this when it was originally announced, but that was a while ago. That was like mid to pre-COVID, so it seems like a decade ago. So if you don't remember, Netflix is doing a Tekken anime, and we just got the trailer for it, and at the end of this trailer, we have a very rough release window, and that release window is sometime this year. So 2022 is going to see the release of this Tekken anime on Netflix. And I'm going to postulate this question to you, dear viewer slash listener. Why? I think we probably, again, it's all starting to come back to me now, but why does Netflix get to do, like, if anyone should get the rights to do a Tekken anime, it should be like Crunchyroll, right? Like, that just makes so much more sense to me. Netflix doing it seems like a very questionable choice. I guess the Avatar series that they had did moderately well to pretty all right, so it's not all doom and gloom. It's not as bad as their live action anime adaptations, so it could be good, but it's very, I don't know. I feel like a better choice would have been Crunchyroll, but I don't have the say in these kind of things. I'm just letting you know about it. Go check out the trailer, though. It does look interesting. If you are a big Tekken fan or a big anime fan, you might dig it. I'm still on the fence. So again, let's have that conversation down in the comments. That is everything we have for TV streaming, except for the TV streaming suggestions. Our suggestion for this episode in TV streaming is Upload. I am so digging this series right now. Season 2 is out on Amazon Prime. I'm about halfway through Season 2. If you dug Season 1, then everything in Season 2 takes what Season 1 had and just expands and expands and expands, and you just get this really awesome story. Greg Daniels, rather not Mike Judge, but Greg Daniels is a very fantastic showrunner. He has a very great sense for balance between the kind of dramatic elements and all of the comedy, and there's a lot of comedy in here, so it's absolutely worth a watch. If you have not watched Upload on Amazon Prime, then you really, really should. It also goes so far as to expand upon the conversation that we continually have here on the channel of artificial intelligence and where the line between real intelligence and artificial intelligence exists, and does artificial mean there's no soul, and so on and so forth. So yeah, very, very, very awesome little comedy series on Amazon Prime. Movies section is next, and we have some stuff to talk about. We have a couple of follow-ups. First up is a very, very brief follow-up on the Tron 3 movie that is apparently still happening. Jared Leto recently talked with somebody, Screen Rant, that's who it was. Jared Leto recently talked with Screen Rant and said that it is still going forward. It is just going very slowly because everybody's coming out of the post-COVID haze and coming off of other projects, because this one had to take a little bit of a backseat because everybody else has something else to do. And so as those things start to wrap up and come to an end, we will see a little bit more motion. Now, this is, I'm very much paraphrasing, but this is effectively what he said. We will be seeing some more forward motion on the Tron 3. So it is not dead, but that's all we know so far. Thank you very much, Jared Leto. Moving on, our next follow-up has to do with Star Wars Rogue Squadron. This is a very interesting update because everyone thought this movie was dead. Well, Disney just updated their release schedule, and in 2023, we still see Star Wars Rogue Squadron slotted for release. We do know that there are a number of secret projects going on in various parts of the world that have a Disney umbrella over them. Most of them are presumed to be Untitled Marvel projects, because all of those Untitled Marvel projects, there are more of them than there are of the Star Wars. But very possibly a lot of what's going on behind the scenes could be related to this Rogue Squadron movie. That's all we really know. It was just a really brief thing, and kind of, I feel like maybe Disney meant to do it under the radar. The other possibility here is copy-paste is a thing, and somebody just copy-pasted the previous schedule and forgot to change this one. So it could go either way, though it does seem to definitely still be going in the direction of making a movie. So our final follow-up for this section is the Aqua Teen's Hunger Force movie. The next one, we've talked about this previously, there is going to be another one. This is going to go straight to Adult Swim. It is thanks to Dana Snyder, who is the voice of Mr. Master Shake himself. Dana Snyder said that he has read the script, or has at least seen a script, and says that things are going forward in much a similar fashion to what we talked about a moment ago with Tron 3. As people are coming out of projects, things will start to pick up a little bit more steam. But a script does exist. It has found its way to at least one of the voice casts, so it should be a matter of time now before we start getting regular updates from the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. And then we have one piece of news. No trailers to speak of, which I find very strange, but we do have one piece of news, and it is the official announcement that Scream 3 is slotted also for 2023. Wow, this is so weird. Courtney Cox has recently said in interviews that they are supposed to be going into active production on this movie within the next 2 months. So it's going to be a very quick turnaround on this new rebooted Scream franchise, and I really don't know how I feel about that. While I did appreciate this most recent Scream movie, it's still modern horror at its finest, I guess you could say, so very mixed emotions about this. But, you know, continuing on, we have suggestions for the movies section, and if you haven't already, The Batman is going to be the suggestion for this episode. The Batman is getting, I think we're looking at over 600 million worldwide box office so far, so definitely on the way to hit a billion, though the Chinese release didn't go quite as well as anticipated, and I still need to look into exactly why that is. But as it stands right now, we are looking very closely at over $600 million, so we're over halfway to the $1 billion mark. I do say this with a little bit of caution, because this is not the best Batman movie that has ever been made. It is a fantastic Batman movie. It is arguably the third best Batman movie that's ever been made. The first two being, of course, The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. But yeah, so very good, very, 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 very much worth the $1 billion, but not the best Batman movie you're gonna see. So that is the suggestion for movies this week. So now let's jump right into the rumor mill, because that's why you guys stick around here, is for these rumors anyway. Rumor mill, we have one refutation of a rumor that honestly, as when I started this week's notes, started this week as an actual rumor, and then by the time I ended this week's notes, had been shot down by the actor in question. So what the hell am I talking about? Doctor Who is in a state of limbo right now, and so it was rumored that Hugh Grant was in negotiations to play the next Doctor Who. And then Hugh Grant took to his Twitter and said, I mean, I would love to, but I'm not. It's not a thing, apparently. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. So don't believe the hype, don't listen to the rumors. Hugh Grant is not going to be the next Doctor, sadly. I think that would be kind of a cool choice, honestly. Moving right along, we have new actual rumors. So our first rumor is X-Files has found its way into the rumor mill. This time, it's not going to be another continuation series. We're not going to be getting X-Files Season 13, as much as I really want that, as much as I think 13 would be a fantastic number for Duchovny and Gillian Anderson to finally give up these two characters. It's just not going to happen, according to this rumor. This rumor is saying that it is going to be a reboot series. So that being said, it does say that it is very unlikely that we're going to see any of the original cast return, though it's not impossible. It's not an impossibility. So likelihood for this one, because you're taking Duchovny, you're taking Anderson, you're taking all of these people that we fell in love with for the X-Files out of the equation, that doesn't sound right to me. I feel like if Disney's new Fox branch is going to do this, then they're going to find a way to work in those characters. Even if they're not the focus of the series, they are going to be there to, at the very least, quote, pass the baton, unquote, to the new actors. So I can't believe, because that is ingrained in this rumor, I don't believe that this rumor is going to go, though I am going to give it a 40% likelihood of being an actual thing, because it is still possible that that's the direction they'll go. I honestly do think that eventually we will see some sort of homage series or reboot series or legacy sequel series, whatever you want to call it, for the X-Files, now that Disney owns the IP, because they're trying to reboot everything now that they own everything. So yeah, I do believe that that will happen someday. I don't believe it's actively in production, and I absolutely don't believe it's going to be 100% reboot without any of the original cast. So moving right along, we have Shazam in the rumor mill. Shazam this week has actually kind of sort of three rumors. At least we're going to break this rumor down. So there was recently a quote leak, and we always classify quote leaks as rumor because very often they are not actual leaks. They are just fans trying to game the system, or the system trying to game the fans, as it were, sometimes, or just somebody seeing an early cut of a movie that then gets cut to shreds and becomes something else entirely. So leaks are not ever guaranteed to come to fruition. So that being said, this leak for Shazam, we're going to again break down into three different pieces. So the first piece is that Gal Gadot is not only going to have a cameo, which we already know is going to happen, but her cameo is going to be very pivotal in the story, in that somehow she's supposedly going to revive Billy Batson after he dies. That part, yeah, we're gonna get to it. So the next part of this rumor, and honestly, there was a lot more here. I just feel like these are kind of the tentpole rumors. There's a bunch more minor things, because apparently somebody saw a test screening and now they're telling the world about it. And I hold your breath there, boss. Anyway, so our next piece is kind of two that one that I've split into two, and that is that there is not actually going to be a Mr. Mind or a Savannah in this movie. According to this, they're going to be saving those characters, presumably at least, saving those characters for future Shazam movies. If we do get a future Shazam movie, because if Billy Batson kind of dies in this, I don't know, it's just a weird situation. So likelihood for these three portions of the rumor, we have the Wonder Woman cameo being pivotal, being that she saves Billy Batson. I'm putting that at 50% because pivotal seems very potential. Billy Batson dying, a lot less potential. So because those are kind of the part and parcel for this rumor, that we're just putting it right in the middle because it could really go either way. And then as far as Savannah and Mr. Mind go, Savannah, we're going to say 80% likely that we won't be seeing Savannah in this. Just, I feel like he was the main bad guy for the last one. Not really going to have any sort of presence in this one, though I think eventually he will come back into this story if they do continue to make these Shazam movies. So 80% likely we will not be seeing Savannah in this movie. And then Mr. Mind, we're going to put that one at 50% as well, because I think he's not going to be a main part of this movie, but I do believe that he will be some sort of post-credit scene, much like he was last time, kind of as a way to build him up as something major, because he's a little significant in those comic books. And yeah, whoever is in charge of the Shazam stuff really is paying some pretty hefty homage to that. So yeah, that's where we sit with Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Oh, and then we have another rumor. This time we're going back over to the Marvel side of things. Secret Invasion has found its way into the rumor mill, and this time Emilia Clarke's mysterious character has supposedly been revealed. Emilia is said to be playing, and I'm going to mispronounce her name, Veranke. I'm going to assume it's Veranke. I've never actually heard it out loud, just only read it on the page. Veranke, the Queen of the Skrulls, is supposedly who Emilia Clarke is going to be playing in this movie. The fact that they were playing this one as close to the chest as they were very much lends itself to that. Them trying to make Secret Wars into something a little bit more resembling the comic books also lends itself to that. There's a lot of roads that lead to this, and we have heard rumors like this before. So this technically is a new source, and I apologize, I misordered it, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. So yeah, Varanki, Emilia Clarke, I'm putting that at 70%. I feel like the sources that we have, this is a pretty good source, but still not the best. So we're gonna give it a 70%. That being said, nerds, there's a lot more news to cover and rumors to dispel and or speculate about, but you have to go to other episodes to get all of that. So if you want to check that out, if you're falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, then you can click or tap one of the boxes that's showing up right there to the side of my face right now. Thank you very much, nerds, for joining me. Before we head out of here, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.